All right, we're live.
Do you have to sign up, Gary? Gary, do you have to sign up if you want to speak after the meeting?
Yes, I'm gonna put it over here.
Okay. I don't know if I want to speak or not.
Lights, camera, action.
Well, you can sign it. And then
That's what I was thinking.
we'll point on it, and if your question was answered,
We
then
ready?
we'll go on.
All right, we'll get started, guys. Good morning. Thanks for coming out on a cold morning. We didn't know how many chairs to put out. We didn't know how many people were going to sleep in this morning to stay where it was warm. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And Jackie, if you would handle the attendance.
Gary Cord,
Here.
Billy Robertson,
Here.
Jackie Collier, Nancy LaChance,
Here.
Tim Robinson.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from October 22nd meeting.
Yes, has everyone read the minutes
Yes.
were given? So I make a motion that the October 22nd minutes be approved.
Second.
Any dis-
Second,
Any
yeah.
discussion?
Aye.
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 Aye. All in favor? That was unanimous. I gotta get all my notes ready. And these will be uploaded to our website after I get home from the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, next item would be the property manager's report from Tim.
Hello, everyone.
Morning.
I'm glad to report that there's a lot of good things that are going on in our community. Seeing a lot of folks that are volunteering to help in any way they can, and that's always great to see and hear. People keeping eyes on things that, if they look a little suspicious or whatever. I can't be everywhere, obviously, in 5,500 acres, but to have some eyes and ears out there that would let me know if there's something going on that they think is suspicious, that's always a good thing. So we can hopefully head things off at the pass. So that's things that are going well. And another thing is in our area of collections, we've started to make some progress that once we got the books straightened out for the most part, through the hard effort of both Tammy and Paige in the office, and with Nancy helping to herd that situation, we have gotten things straightened out enough to where we can start actually determining the accounts that need to be contacted in the first place, and then move forward with getting the money that's owed to us. One of the things that I'm seeing in some of the research I'm doing is with this real estate market we've had going on this year, a lot of people have been paying their taxes that hadn't in a while. For some reason, they're ignoring us, so we'll try to make sure they understand that there's another thing that they need to be doing in terms of their property. So we're working on that, but it's looking like we'll be able to make some real good progress in the next 6 months in getting some of the money that's been owed, in some cases, for quite a number of years. And of course, the market is helping. As most of you have noticed, real estate values have gone up quite a bit this year, and that's just helping to drive the train as well. In terms of what I would call some dumb stuff, there's some of the folks that live in here and some that don't, that happen to get in various ways, that are doing things that are not in keeping with a good community. We've had gunshots going on within the confines of the community that get reported, in some of the more remote areas maybe, but still things that should not be occurring in here, in places where there are folks living. It's a residential area, and our rules call for not firing weapons, and some people are choosing to do that, and there's places to go where it's safe to do that, but this is not one of them. So if you do hear something or see something, find casings, whatever, then let us know, and we'll do what we can to try to track down the culprits and impose the appropriate sanctions. Also, pets that get out of control. We've had quite a few problems lately, one of which involved a pet actually being killed by other animals that belong to folks, and that's a truly sad situation. And those are the kinds of things that if we just follow the rules about keeping our own pets, restrained as they're supposed to, then those kind of things won't happen. So it's kind of doubling the effort to, again, keep people aware that we've got these issues and that we've got these rules, and those definitely impact other owners when you've got animals coming onto your property that don't belong to you and doing damage to your property or to your own pets. And then the area of, with all the new construction, people skipping over some of the steps of talking to our architectural review committee and getting the appropriate approvals. And they're not hard to get along with. They want people to be able to enjoy their property and fulfill their dreams for that property, but at the same time, there are steps to take, and people need to go through the appropriate channels. We've got now website capability of people getting information there, certainly calling, contacting the office. And I know that for the folks that are sitting here, almost everything I've said wouldn't apply to any of you, but we've got a bigger audience also, hopefully with this streaming, and then of course just to let it be spoken in a meeting so that folks will take heart with some of the things that are going on that we can correct. And of course, there's lots of other things that happen with traffic, to people still sometimes driving too fast or in the middle of the road around a blind curve, or that's my pet peeve, because I almost get head-on collisions several times a week, and just unnecessary. But anyway, those kinds of things will always be an issue. But looking forward to the new year, I see good things coming up for us. As you all probably have sensed, I certainly have, that our board is functioning well and wants to move forward in ways that are going to make this a better place to be. And I know they're open to all the feedback and input that the community can give. So let's utilize our website. We're going to continue to improve that, but that's a great communication tool, both directions, so that we can have input that is meaningful, and then we can come up with better ideas about how to get things done around here. So I appreciate all the support that I've been getting, and look forward to good things in the future.
Thank you, Tim. Before we get into old business, I'm a little bit remiss. We've got a guest here today. The gentleman standing up here behind us is Dave Darnell, and he's with the campground board. And did you want to say a few words, Dave?
Yes, thank you, Gary. Well, good morning. My name is David Wardell. My wife and I, Elena, we're down in lots 19 and 20. We've been there 17 years, and we really enjoy it. Probably one of the best things we ever did. And people say, we call it a happy place. People say, you want to go on vacation? I said, why? We're in the mountains. Where else do you want to go? So anyway, my position on the board is I'm mountain liaison. I've been mountain liaison before, dealt with a couple of property managers before with the board. It was a good relation. I'm here today just to introduce myself and put a face with the place. And I want to foster good relations. I know things kind of go like this sometimes, and I want to make sure they go like this. So anyway, if I can help you in any way, please feel free to reach out. You can get a hold of me through Tim. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a retired Army officer, so Tim and I do some secret handshakes. I retired a number of years ago, about 27 to be exact. And I've been in the public safety and security business ever since, and just recently retired. So I have more time to hopefully come up here more often and address any issues we may have. But I just want you to know that this is a wonderful community. I'm very proud to be a part of all of this. And I just want you to know that you can call on us. And everybody in the campground is pretty positive, we think. So we weeded out a few people. But anyway, just want you to know how much we appreciate you all and the mountain and just the whole package here. Anybody have any questions of me? Okay. Well,
Thank you, Dave. We look forward to working with you.
thank you. excuse myself, y'all talk business. By the way, this is one of the saddest days of the year for me, because my wife and I are up here winterizing, and that's a
Oh,
happy day. So anyway, I'll go back and cry a little. I'll see you later.
Nice to meet you, thank you.
Bye-bye. Break out the jack.
Okay, and the next phase of the operation is old business, and I think Jackie wants to tell us about, the property manager's employment
Yes.
agreement.
That was voted on before and approved, and we're happy to report that we turned it over to Tim to look at and to sign, and he has signed for his employment extension. And so, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
And Tim, our new law firm, Nowak Howard, we have two law firms now that are going to be helping us with collections and advising us. We may wean that down at some point to one, but right now we're going to utilize two, especially since we've already paid for one of them through the end of the year. But Nowak Howard, our new company, does a webinar periodically to bring us up to date on court cases in the state. And Tim watched that. Tim and Jackie both actually watched it, but I think Tim may have some comments on what the legal what the legal situation is in the state with regard to HOAs and POAs.
And it's interesting to see how often things, even in very recent past, cases come up to get decided with stuff that you would think would have been decided a long, long time ago. But anyway, it's just the nuances of the legal system and the way that condominium and homeowners associations and property owners associations, get handled within the law in the state. And for the most part, the requirements are basically that the governance of any association just needs to make sure they're taking reasonable care within their duties and being responsible, not just letting things go that would cause issues. But that's sort of a broad general thing. There were some specific cases that were talked about, and I'll give you a couple of highlights. One is really more general for anything, but anytime there's legal proceedings that get initiated toward an association, then the most important thing is to respond officially to that, not to ignore it, because within the law, especially if it's a lawsuit, if you ignore it and just hope it'll go away, then you just admitted that everything they're accusing you of is true, and that you're basically saying, okay, I'm guilty. So it's important that we always do that, and of course we always have. And there haven't been any litigation things against us since I've been property manager, and I'm happy to say that, and hope that'll I'll be able to say that at whatever time I stop being property manager. But if it does come up, we know that the best advice is to be timely with keeping on top of whatever it is, even if it's a discovery request, which means they're just gathering evidence for whatever the situation happens to be. And then also the idea of the word security gets used a lot, but probably not used the way it needs to be in terms of our community. The HOA cannot provide and cannot guarantee that it's providing security to, unless it specifically states that in our documents, and ours does not. There may be some condo associations where that's something that's actually the responsibility of the governance of their association, but in most cases for homeowners associations, that's not it. And certainly with the environment we have, it's not something we can guarantee. So it's up to all of us to just do things that are safe, report things that we see that are unsafe, and those sort of things, or if something's looks like somebody may be breaking into a property they shouldn't be, or whatever is happening. But we will take reasonable care to try to keep one like that's happened recently, the gates, try to keep them functioning, which has been a challenge, especially when someone decides to drive through one of them. But those kinds of things are about the extent of what we can do just to keep the common area stuff that does provide some level of safety, to keep those in good repair and keep them functioning. Something to know that the courts are very reluctant to ever go beyond what's in our actually written stated documents. So that was good news to hear that it needs to be the way it says it if a case comes up. And the legal precedents that have been set are that judges are not supposed to try to read in intent about what the board that wrote these CCRs might have meant or whatever. They just take it as it says it and rule based on that. Also, there's something that needs to happen in cases where there's a dispute about delinquent assessments, as we talked about collections. One thing that's interesting to note, the way it was put, is that the only defense of a homeowner or association member that's being accused of being in arrears, the only defense they can actually offer to the justice system that they will hear is, well, I actually did pay my dues, but, and then whatever the extenuating circumstances are, it wasn't accounted for properly or whatever it is. But if you don't start off saying, I have paid my dues, then they basically, it stops right there, and the court will decide in favor of the HOA. So that was kind of interesting to learn, especially since we are starting to make much greater efforts toward getting some of the back stuff that's there. And we're looking forward to learning more as we go from hopefully both sets of attorneys that we have. But it's something that can be developing at all times. It is something we learned recently of a court case that happened in the not too distant past. But apparently the word didn't necessarily get to us, but there was a situation of last year people being charged late fees, and technically we can't do that. We can charge interest when people are behind, but there was a legal case where that was, unless your documents specifically state things about a late fee, then so from now on it's that we will be charging an interest amount that's compounded annually, but no, I'm sorry, not compounded. It's simple interest on an annual basis, and just little things like that that we'll learn as we go. But we'll try to stay on top of everything.
Another thing, I didn't get to see the webinar, but Jackie was kind enough to send out a PDF on some of the cases that were discussed. And one I found that was interesting was the one about the gates. There was a community where one of the gates had been broken down. This is something we can all relate to. But the gate had been broken down, and there was somebody within the community that claimed that they were assaulted, and they tried to sue the community because the gate was broken. And the long and short of it is the court looked at what the community did to replace the gate. They acknowledged that it was broken. They brought somebody in within a few days, and they actually ordered a new gate. And what the court decided in the end was that, two things: that the community was technically not responsible for security, and in the event of the gate, they did what they had to do as quickly as they could do it. They ordered what they needed to fix it, and the court sided with the HOA. They said they were doing everything they could. There was nothing beyond that they could have done. And so that's an interesting thing because it applies to us from time to time. We have situations with the gates, but fortunately Tim is always right on top of it, and he's either getting it repaired or getting parts ordered or doing what has to be done. But I thought that was interesting. Okay, next up, Finance Committee. Nancy LaChance.
So last meeting, we approved the formation of a finance committee, and we have now put the members together. So it's Beverly and Jeffrey Siegel will be on the finance committee, and Chris Kraft. And then we have another person that would prefer to be a consultant. So the current finance committee is those three people as our regular input. I do want to note that in forming the budget, which we'll hear about more during this meeting, we did not have a chance to get together with the finance committee. So the budget came out of analysis of last year, and we will be actively seeking the consultation and input from the finance committee as we move to auditing this year and improving our financial position for next year. So just understand that that was kind of a result of, it's a really fast turnaround. Between when you're elected and when you have to have that first budget out is a very short period of time. So we just didn't have time to put that together and make that work. But going forward, they will be there, and hopefully that will be ongoing and a great support to the community. So thank you for your service, and we look forward to meeting with you.
Absolutely. Next item is the Architectural Review Committee. There's not a lot to report here, but we do have some help. Jackie's husband, Claude Collier, has agreed to join the ARC committee and help us.
He's back
Claude,
there.
Claude has extensive experience in the things that are important here in the neighborhood, and we really look forward to having him on the committee. Thank you, Claude. Okay, the report from we've also had a group of volunteers working on short-term rental issues. We've had people from both sides of the fence making suggestions and trying to come up with some ideas that will smooth the relationship that we have that's sometimes contentious with short-term rental properties. And Jackie has a report on that, I think.
It's just brief. We received a report, their first report. I don't know how many meetings they actually had, but we received a report. And that initial one was kind of a brainstorming, and they had a lot of questions among themselves. So there was no resolution, no solutions at this point from them. This is not a committee that's under the umbrella of the board. This is a community-developed committee. So we don't have control over what they, say or do, but we can take their recommendations and review them, and then see what we can do from that point. But at this point, we don't have any real solutions from them. It was just their preliminary report and no specific answers. So.
They came up with a lot of great ideas, and just to be honest, the budget process has kind of been sucking all the air out of the room. We haven't really had a chance to look at the recommendations and get into them in depth and work with the committee the way we want to, but we are going to in the very near future.
And the other thing is, until we can resolve the gate issue, which is the big elephant, we can't do some of these other problem solving with the other issues. So, anyway.
Thanks, Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
Next, Billy would like to talk to us about something we like to do, and that's long-term planning, a long-term strategic committee.
So we need to try to get a committee going with this. If anybody's interested, please shoot us that you are. We want to have a long-term strategic committee 5 years ahead. We want to make goals, plans. It goes down to anything that we do in this place. So if you're interested, I'll chair it. I need some help for it to get this place on a track towards a future and not a day-to-day basis. So thank you. That'll be it for me.
Yeah, that's something with the volunteer board and the turnover that we often have on the board. We don't have a lot of time to get into what's going to happen here 10 years from now or 20 years from now. We're usually trying to get through this year and next year and the year after that, but we would like some residents that live here that really care about where this place is going to be 10 years from now to get involved in this discussion. It's not going to be hard work, but it is going to be just skull sessions primarily. I know people are interested in when we're going to have another board member. Okay, the interviews for new board members begin this coming week. We will be calling in the applicants that we've had and setting up interviews with them. And it is the intent of this board to interview everybody who has applied, regardless of their resume. We're going to sit down and talk with everybody who's interested, and we're going to try to find another board member from that. Next up will be the financial report from the treasurer.
All right, so 2023 budget is now in front of you. I'm going to begin by talking a little bit about how we came up, how we worked together to come up with this budget. And I work closely with the board and with Tim and Paige in the office, and they've been a great help. So we looked at all of the expenses actually we cut it off at October 14th just because that was solid and we had all that information. So we looked at that data and we analyzed every single line item in that report. And you can see a PDF that shows notes about all of those. Those are all available in the Finance Committee folder on the website. So you can go there and look at that spreadsheet that I used to kind of calculate what we're gonna do. So we looked at everything, we moved things around because we found that some things were in categories that they were duplicate categories. So we moved some of the expenses from one category to another in order to come up with how much have we spent 9 months into the year, and then look for what would that prorate out to monthly, and then what would that mean annually. So we looked at all of that data very, very carefully, line by line. We analyzed all of the income. So for example, went through and looked at all of the people that pay convenience fees. We looked at the number of people, the average amount they paid, and then put that average in and slotted in that we really assume we'll probably have the same amount of people next year doing convenience fees, and we slotted that in. So we did that with like how many people bought remote cards, how many bought all the other things that we sell, maps, etc. So we looked at all of those. We counted how many did it so we could get a feeling for how many we can anticipate for next year. So we looked at all of that. We looked at every single line item, what we spent money on. We looked for and eliminated some anomalies. So for example, we were very, very low on parts for the gates, I think, or something. Anyway, one level of parts. And we ordered a lot, so that was a little higher than we can anticipate for next year. So we did eliminate anomalies and came up with what you see before you, which is our budget. Now, I do want us all to be aware that, and I looked back at 2020 when I had solid information, because I was the treasurer then as well, and so I knew the data that we had. And if you look at things, you say in 2020, we've increased the costs of running this whole facility 23.5% since 2020, and we all see it. We all know the cost of things that are going up. We all know that everything, all of these costs are going up. So we've had a 23.5% increase in expenses over the course of these years. Water alone. So water, since 2020, we had a 32% increase in the cost of water. And that is not so much because of increased usage as it is because the water costs have just gone up. So we buy our water from Gordon County and we're just paying more. The parts that fix the water system have gone up immensely in cost. The parts that fix a car have gone up immensely in cost. So we're looking at all of those. As a result, so that's one of the things that we factored in. The second thing that we did, and this is all to lead up to the increase in dues that I'm going to be talking about, which I'm just going to explain. So we have all these increases that we have to deal with. And secondly, we as a board are highly committed to doing high impact projects this year. So we believe that the top 4 high impact projects that we can do this year is, number one, if you've ever walked in the office, it is just unworkable. So it's very inefficient. We have a computer system that doesn't work. We're not able to run the monitoring equipment that we're buying. So we're buying these cameras, but we're not easily able to run it. People can just walk in and walk to the back and interrupt business as it goes on. So we know the office needs a major upgrade. So we have gone through and gotten quotes, so we have a solid figure, and we intend to put a good amount of money into upgrading the office so that it is really workable. We are committed to fixing the gate problem this year. We are going to get a system that works, period. And that's in there. The third one is what I forgot. Oh, generators for the water system. If we lose electricity and our water system goes down, we are in very, very big trouble. And it's not just temporary trouble necessarily, because it can ruin the whole, the system can be harmed overall in terms of its longevity if we run out of water at any time. So we are going to get generators for the water system. And finally, the other projects of the gate, and then all of the monitoring and cameras. So we're planning to invest in increasing the ability to monitor all of the common areas so that we know who's coming in the gate, who's going out the gate, who's dumping their construction debris in our dumpsters, who's doing things. And we can actively pursue and let people know that those are things that are not serving our community as a whole. So all of those things have been factored in as committed projects for this year, and we've got dollar amounts against them that we fully believe will cover those things. So as a result of looking at that, so we looked at all of the expenses and all of the income, and we came to the conclusion that there is no way around increases for this year. So we are planning to increase the budget suggests an increase from our current $650 to $695 for our lots. So that's per lot, it'll be $695, which if you look at it, it's an 8.2% increase. It's $458 a month. So it's under $5 a month increase in the cost of your regular dues. We are increasing water, and actually, we are increasing water well below the cost that it would take to really just have the water system support itself. So the community is supporting the water system as a whole, because we believe that the water system doesn't just serve the people that use the water system, but if you have a lot that's unbuilt, then you want water down the road. We're going to have to put some money into that water system. So we think that the community can support the water system as a whole. That will go up to from $474 to $495, which is $1.75 a month increase. And I actually did some competitive research to say how much people pay for water, and we are very reasonable. We are very reasonable in terms of the cost of water. We probably could have, well, anyway, I'm not going to go there. That was what we discussed, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go up to $495 on the water.
I just want to say one thing about the water system. When she means that it's going to be troublesome if we don't have those generators, if those lines don't keep pressure in them, when they lose that pressure and we cut that water back on, we all know the pipes in this place are not the youngest. So every time we do that, we risk more leaks and more damage to the system. So if we keep it pressurized, we keep it going, that's the idea of the generators. I just want to say that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's interesting that when we find, the leaks that we're finding are not the leaks to the people that are using water necessarily. They're all over the place. So the whole community is built on this water system that is somewhat fragile, and we've got to put some money into investing in protecting it and moving forward. And this is not the end of the cost for the water system. So we know that. The planning committee, that strategic committee that we're going to be having, will be looking at what can we do about the water system. So that's coming up. We're also moving the convenience fee, so it's going to increase to 3.25%. And that is not us. That is the bank. That just evens out what the bank charge, what the credit card companies charge us to use credit, and what we pay. So if you're paying via credit card, expect a 3.25 from 3% to 3.25% increase in that. That is so all of the line items are laid out for you. The backup documentation is online, so you can go in and look at it. You can look at all the calculations that I did. It's all in PDF format, but you can see all the notes and explanations of the thinking that went into putting together this budget, which we believe is pretty solid. But we'll have the Finance Committee continuously reviewing our spend against what we anticipated, and giving us feedback and improving so that we can only get better over time. So we're very committed to living by this budget and doing the things that we've committed to. One other thing that we're doing this year that I think is going to make a huge difference is that we're moving all of the collections activity out of our operating account and into a separate collections account. All the payments we make for liens and look to the lawyers, all of the money that we collect, when we buy and sell property or whatever happens, all of that will run through a separate account from the operating expenses. We think this is going to give us a much better view of what we're spending on collections and what we're getting back from collections. It'll also give us a much better view of the overall collections activity, how much is owed us, where we're at with that, etc. One of the things and I'm going to just throw this in because you should know, is that after much discussion with the lawyers concerning, one of the things that our bylaws require is that we have a report periodic reports on who owes money and who doesn't, who owes money to the organization and what those are. Our legal advice has been strongly against that. First, we cannot reveal the names. We thought we could reveal lot numbers, but our lawyers are suggesting that is not safe to do, and that we should not do it. Number one, because we can't keep it up to date and easily, and number two, and so it gives people a reason to come after us. So they recommend that we not do that. We will have an overall amount, so you'll see what receivables we have, so you'll be able to see that as we get to the end of the year reports where we're coming out with, because we'll have all of the results of Paige and Tammy's work on catching up and help giving us visibility into what amount of money is outstanding and owed to us, what can we expect to collect, and what we're doing about it. And that's kind of where we stand, and that is the budget report.
Can I add one thing?
Thank you.
May.
So basically, on that list is what she's saying. If we get one decimal point wrong, one number, 1 0, we can be held accountable. So that's the risk we're not willing to take as far as publishing that list. So that's all I'm saying.
one other thing of importance too, the HOA lawyers that have been doing collections for 30 years say shaming people does not work.
Right.
If you can post this information all you want to, it does not increase your collection one iota. So there's really no reason for us to go there. Our mission is to increase the amount of collections, and everything else will take care of itself. Do I hear a resolution to approve the 2023 fiscal budget?
I move that we approve the 2023 budget as provided today.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion,
I vote aye.
discussion.
Oh, discussion, I'm sorry.
Do we have any discussion anymore? Concerns?
Okay. Anything?
Vote?
No discussion?
No
All right,
discussion?
Let's vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
A couple of other announcements. Rental cost of the Trout Lodge. Everybody has been kind of disgusted about the increase in cost, and then the end result of that is we're not renting the Trout Lodge. It's sitting there empty. So in the next few weeks, we're going to be reviewing those costs and more than likely coming down with the rental cost of the Trout Lodge. I don't know how much that'll be yet, but we're going to have to, the Trout Lodge is one of those things we're going to have to spend some money on. It's an all-wood structure. The carpenter beams are chewing on it, so it's something that we've kind of factored in the budget, because there's going to have to be some maintenance done on it. But it's a great asset and it's not being used right now, so we're gonna review that. Some other upgrades,
One thing about that, I'm going to create, a proposal on, kind of like an event place, would rent out stuff by time, what is the event, so it will have different degrees. We forget that our dues already pay for upkeep. And so that's why we get that little, advantage of not having to pay as much as somebody outside of our community. Because our dues, whatever they are, part of my dues pay for the upkeep of the Trout Lodge. And that's one reason why I was just shocked at the increase last year. So, I'm gonna work on, and with everybody's input and stuff, different ways to rent it out and purposes, and like if it's just a kid's birthday party for 3 hours, I'm not gonna ask people to dish out $700 up front. And hoping that you get 250 of it back from as the deposit. So that really bothers me. So I'm gonna be working on that and share it with everyone. I may even ask folks input and come up with some kind of, what is it called?
well, we can do a calendar on the website
Strategic,
too.
reasonable
You can go look at events.
plan.
And promote it like a regular event place.
I'd love to
for
do that.
outside,
And the public print it,
Yes,
Yes.
the people
so
outside.
why not put like a website together and promote it as a public, like a wedding venue or something, and have someone in charge of it?
Yeah, we're gonna do,
That type.
We got a website.
Yeah,
We can put
we're
it
gonna
on
be
the
doing
website.
Okay, all right.
That would be a good idea.
we'll get into discussion afterwards.
Another thing that has been, this is the pet project, these are pet projects of Nancy and Jackie, I'll give them credit. I didn't think of it, but pools, the pools, the playground, we wanna get some kind of ground cover for the playground, it's awful. Billy brought that up. Tennis and basketball courts need resurfacing. Since pickleball has become so popular, the tennis court has a lot of new use, and so we think we need to resurface that. We've accounted for that in this year's budget. Okay, is there anybody else has anything to talk about?
Yes, about the upgrades and the maintenance. My big push is that we can do certain upgrades, maybe not all in 1 year. I like to look ahead, but it's the maintaining of these properties, these common areas, that's really important to me. So if we upgrade it, we gotta make sure it stays maintained. And, that's my big to-do. Not just, okay, we upgraded it, we
Well,
fixed the
I
problem.
am gonna be writing a proposal for us and to look over and maybe vote on. I wanted to create some type of process, because I know when talking about maintenance, it's always a very touchy subject for whatever reason. I want to get a process going maybe every month. The first week, maintenance is at the front of the neighborhood. The second week, they're at Apple neighborhood. Third week, they're at Big Ridge. Fourth week, they're at the other end. Of course, they get calls, water leaks, stuff like that, and they would direct their way to that problem or do what they normally do when it comes to that. But then when they're done or not doing anything particular, the maintenance would be right back on key with that. Just the type of scheduled maintenance is what we're looking for to keep, tennis courts blowed off, so we don't have to get them resurfaced as much. It's just some things that we want to be proactive to do, so we don't have to wait until something's broken or about to break to fix it. So that's all.
Okay.
Oh, can I just add one thing, sorry? One addition to that, and that is I forgot to talk about the capital budget. So you will see at the very end, we have equipment that we're planning to purchase over the next 2 years. Some of it more needs to be done more sooner rather than later. So Tim has provided me with a list of items that will ensure better service and better to all of these areas. And that includes things that will actually enable us to maintain the roads, to be better self-maintainers of the road system. So we're hoping over the next 2 years that we'll be able to acquire the equipment that will enable us to have better and richer capabilities to do these kinds of work.
And we don't have, there's a lot of redundant equipment that we need too. We had our bush hog, our big batwing bush hog that we used to do all of our mowing was down for 5 weeks. It's a long story, but it needed repairs that it still hasn't had effectively done. But we had no backup. We didn't have a second tractor. We did not have a second bush hog to take care of that. So there are several things we recognize that we need in the maintenance area. I want to remind everybody again too, please use the website. There's a maintenance request section on the website. If you see a pothole, if you see a tree down, if you see anything in this neighborhood that needs to be fixed that's unsightly, it takes 2 minutes to submit a maintenance request. And I promise you, I see it, Tim sees it,
I see it.
Terry and the maintenance crew see it. It does not get buried, it will get acted on.
Yes.
So you guys are our eyes and ears. We try to cover, we ride hundreds of miles every week trying to cover all the nooks and crannies, but we need your eyes too. We need you guys to help us. Use the website, use the maintenance request, it's your best friend. Is there anything else? Okay, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting now, and we're gonna have a community forum. Do we have anybody signed up to speak?
You gotta wait, Gary.
Is there anybody that wanted to speak that wants to sign?
I move that we adjourn this.
Okay, move, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I jumped in.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Hang on. We've
Billy,
got-
hold it a minute.
I'm just getting them to sign.
Okay.
We're just haven't closed the meeting yet.
My bad. You gotta vote.
He's still learning.
Yeah.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we adjourn the meeting?
I motion the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
Aye.
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 This meeting is adjourned.
There.
There we go.
Official, okay.
Yeah,
Now
we-
sign your sheet so I don't get in
We've
trouble.
already discussed it before. I'm sorry.
Okay, do we have some people signed up?
Yeah. You need something to bear down on?
Here, Ron, here's my bag.
Jessica, you want to sign?
I keep my mouth shut today.
That's good. Thank God. Love you.
Keep on. I get you
Reminder,
out
there's
outside.
a
out.
3-minute limit. We're gonna try to, if it's a question, we'll try to answer it. We're not gonna be here all day discussing, I'm sorry, but we're gonna give you a chance to get it out, and we'll try to answer the questions as best we can, or tell you that we'll be discussing your suggestion in the near future.
Thank you, sir. All right, are we ready to ask? Okay.
Let's go.
Ken McDonald.
Okay, question one, have you guys ever considered getting the slide gates instead of the ones that look like you're going into a bar? I've been ahead of a lot of places down in Florida, and they have the same problem. When you see a gate, looks like a bar, you know, you just push on it, where the slider only has one motor, goes back and forth. It takes a few seconds longer, but it definitely keeps you from getting in.
Well, we are welcome to any suggestions the community may have about the matter, for sure. We are on the path of just investigating every
Okay.
upgrade we
I
can,
need to
so-
sign up on that little group that you're gonna get together.
absolutely, the long-term committee, that would be great.
Yeah, another thing you can do is put those really cheap LED sensor lights that as soon as somebody pulls up to the gate, they flash. You can put them around the cameras or whatever.
Uh-huh.
All that does is just bring their attention, okay, there's a light on there.
It gets a shot of the face.
When you come through Apple, there's just one light that's on, and you can't even tell the cameras or anything. This just gives you the illusion
Yeah.
that somebody's actually watching this place.
Well, it's all part of the upgrades we have planned. We want an entry and exit.
Well,
We're tired of trying to get out on the driver's side.
Less than
dealing with this
$100 per gate.
Outdated system with being green lettering and stuff. We want to get a little bit of an
All
upgrade.
right, how about
Get
the
going.
speed bumps, any more?
Speed bumps are gonna, we can barely keep up with our roads. Speed bumps ain't gonna be talked about for while, I'm
Okay,
assuming.
you know, the destruction of these roads with the little bit of traffic that we have are caused by.
My opinion on the speed bumps would be this, that when you do them, you're gonna create a water issue that if you're not careful, we're just gonna cause more work.
You only
on
have to
roads.
put it on the two.
I'm not against doing it in the future, but right now, there's just so much.
No, you put it on
potential,
the 2%
You talking about the gate, just put them at the gate, is that what you're?
No, for all the
All through
roads.
the
I
neighborhood.
mean, if you live by a hill, like I do on Carmen Way, you
Yeah.
get people that are going 35 miles an hour
Yeah,
going downhill past our houses.
Yeah.
You know, you have hidden driveways and everything else.
I have people fly by my house every day, right there at Applegate, and dang near hit each other.
There you go.
I
So-
understand, but that, I'm not against that, but the issue is, it's
Sorry,
gonna be
we're gonna
hard
have
to
to
do.
move, we're gonna have to move forward, Ken. We appreciate the suggestion.
Anybody else have any input on that?
And, that's something we've talked about, is the slide gates, and as we get into the process, we're gonna take a look at that.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've already gotten quotes on is the transponder system for the existing gates. So, but we have so many failures with these gates, I think we're gonna be looking
You,
at the
you
whole
said
thing.
you're updating your surveillance and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we've
my
got-
understanding that because of the way the internet is in this area, and I'm involved, that, that's the reason why you can't watch the cameras. You have to physically go up and remove the card.
Only at a certain area. Right now, the front is fully wired to the gills. You ain't getting away with nothing at the front. Now, Applegate, the cameras work great at the gate. We're having a little issue with internet as far as at the lake, but their cameras are still recording actively and we can still monitor them. We just can't monitor them from the office, so that's what we're trying to get at, is a better updated version.
The goal is to have 24-hour monitoring at both the other gates, and right now, the best option that we've got is cell phone service. The thing
Comcast
about
is
it is, we
coming.
don't have continuous
Is there a
media.
number that, you know, since you have that Talking Rock thing and that's really great, people see a stranger or something, they can post a picture, and that way you have.
A neighborhood watch, we're more than welcome.
What is it called?
A neighborhood watch, is that what you're saying? Because we can't post wanted criminal activity, that's just asking for a
You said
lawsuit.
that, but
But
you've got a car that's suspicious or something, and I've stopped a lot of people, they just, you know, basically, they came in with camping supplies or whatever.
Yes.
Case in point is that trailer that's down off of, Adair.
Okay.
Did you get any, I mean, the guy's already got,
Yeah, we're talking about.
he has a trailer in there and he built up all this stuff, I mean, you should have been nipped in the bud before he got all this stuff, now he's got 6 cars.
We can't
there.
prevent or
Okay,
stop
y'all,
someone from.
We need to,
got
we
to
need to
stick to
move
our
on.
time
Sorry,
limit.
Ken, thanks for bringing it up, but we've got a 3-minute limit. Who's
We
next?
need,
I believe
and
that says Jeff Siegel?
Billy, we're not going to discuss everything here, we're gonna
Yeah.
write things down.
Who you
and-
doing?
Huh?
I got you.
Okay, so we're not gonna debate and
I'm trying
discuss.
to keep it cordial, man.
I know, I'm just
Who's
trying to tell
next?
you to be quiet.
Jeff Siegel. Why am I
I have
going
a
quiet if I
question
got
for
to talk?
Nancy.
No, we're not
Of the
doing that.
bad-
excuse me.
Of the bad debt, how much is the actual people who are living here, the 30%?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
The bad debt of 30% in the budget?
Oh, but, yes, that are, yeah.
How many people actually live there?
It's not the biggest problem is not the people who are living here. That 30% of uncollected can be, we bill everybody, whether they've paid in the last 10 years or not. So of all of the money that we bill for 1,700 plus lots, and only a small portion of those actually live here. We do have some owners of lots that are highly, that actually do pay, so we have a good number that do pay, but then we have that group that don't. And we want to create an operating budget that's reasonable against what we really believe we can collect. So, that's why we do that, that's why we remove that percentage from our operating income so that we can budget reasonably.
Okay, but the people that live here, what action can you take against them? Can you stop them from using the roads? The people that live in.
You cannot prevent people from entering the gates to go to their property regardless.
Even if they haven't paid the dues, they don't own the road.
You cannot, right.
So can we get the covenants changed? What percentage?
The covenants can be changed,
Right.
but it requires that of the 1,700 actual lots. So you have to get a very high percentage of the actual lots that are out there, even if, there, like
It's 60%.
225 lots voted in the last election out of 1,700 that are out there. So just so you know, we are certainly interested in doing that, and we will continue pursuing doing it, but it takes a very large amount of votes to be able to do it.
60.
Yeah.
On the capital equipment,
Yes.
is it not better to subcontract it out? Because you'll probably save on labor.
We can certainly, I mean,
Look at that, I'm just saying.
so,
it's an
yeah,
option. And
yeah.
then, just, I know my time's running out. Do you have software maintenance? Maintenance software that you run?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
About what?
You said the maintenance software, do you have a computer program that?
no, we have no maintenance software.
No maintenance software. I was just gonna propose, maybe that might be in the proposal,
Yeah,
that'd be
they do
great.
every week what they're gonna
But
do,
I
they're
wanna
gonna
do a
check it.
work order system and a maintenance,
You get that
something
off as-
scheduled
yeah.
every month.
That's
every
part
week.
of what,
Yeah.
that's part of what Nancy was talking about
Yeah.
the office
Yeah.
upgrade. We're gonna upgrade the computers we've
Yeah.
got.
To those
I don't know
work
if you've ever
tickets.
They
sat
get a
there
work
and
ticket,
watched.
they gotta do this, and they gotta sign off and see the
Yes.
pictures that they come.
Absolutely,
For
yes.
those who live here and are not paying, they lose their, access to the package room, into the pool
They lose their rec
area.
rights.
All the,
Common areas,
Common areas, they
Yeah.
lose their rec rights.
but by law, we cannot keep them from entering the
Now, we
property.
can't physically touch
But
it.
we do have some homeowners in here that fall in this category, and we're going after them just like we do property owners.
Yeah.
If they don't pay their
We'll
water,
foreclose on
we
it.
turn their water off.
Yeah.
We're not,
Okay.
keeping-
We're not going without a fight.
Let's go.
One quick comment on that is that we have less than 10 properties where there's actually a dwelling on the property that are in arrears. You don't want to lose your house, so you don't get behind on your taxes and your HOA, but if it's the empty land that's the real big problem. Right.
All right, Nancy Pebbleworth.
My question was pretty much answered about bad debt, and I kind of got the answer.
All righty. I can't read that one.
Can I say one other thing?
Sure.
It's nothing,
Benedetto.
it's not even a question. You board people know that I was pretty much against Stella Coward, but I feel that if you as a board feel that our biggest problem is AR and collection, and if you guys feel that that's how you have to go and you can work with them, then do it.
Awesome, thank you very much. Appreciate the support.
De Benedetto.
Benedetto?
I'm Sal Benedetto. My wife Mary and I.
You say Sal?
Sal.
Sal, nice to meet you.
Salvatore. Sal.
Awesome.
My wife Mary and I bought Stair Out Road
Howdy, neighbor.
last July. So we've owned it for over a year. We were doing short-term rentals out of it for a while. It was short-term rental before the previous owners too. We live there permanently now. We moved in election.
I like that.
Great, welcome.
So we're here. I just have a couple comments about some of the things we're talking about.
Sure.
The first one is, the day before, we were supposed to have a short-term person come in. Our grounds people were cutting the grass for us, Travis, just happened to notice that we did have a water leak. The day before people were supposed to come in, he and his brother got out there, fixed it immediately, and we didn't lose our renter. So I'm gonna say, you guys, the maintenance here is awesome.
Yes.
My experience with the maintenance here is, it's awesome.
They'll be happy to hear that.
We were also in arrears on our dues for a while, because we didn't get billed. And once my wife was talking to people, they found out what was going on, we got the billing, we paid it right away. So, we're just thankful that y'all will follow up on things, and there's no animosity or problems with anything here. I think it all runs pretty smoothly, given you got 1,700 lots, and all that is involved in that. That's a good thing. So I'm just gonna say, we're all pretty lucky. So thank you, board.
I'm happy to have a great
for all
neighbor.
That you do. Where do you live?
Stir Rap, down in the hole, 42, down under.
40, oh, you're down 40, we're at 195. So we're up
Okay,
the
yeah.
top.
I know exactly where you're at.
him, he's trouble.
I was actually at your house approving your patio project.
Oh, you're
The
talking
day
about
that day that the guys were digging, and I know that hole was about 5 or 6 feet deep.
Yeah, that's what Travis was telling us. We didn't see it because we were
Way
out of
down.
state then, but we're permanent now, so.
Great.
We'll be around.
Awesome.
Will you spell your
Outstanding.
last name, please?
Yes, I will. D-I, D is in David, I, B-E-N-E-D-E-T-T-O.
All right.
Sal, thank you very much for the kind words.
Yeah, appreciate that.
And we will pass those on to the maintenance guys.
Absolutely. I have trouble with Travis because he talks so fast.
We all do.
But he's a good guy.
We all just
Well,
go,
did you get a chance to meet his brother?
No, I did not.
His brother helped him out that day.
Yeah.
His brother, between him and his brother, I need a translator. I can't.
I hear you.
All right, Art Dodge. How you doing, sir?
First, I want to thank the board. I feel they're doing an excellent job. I love the idea about splitting the operational money and other money. I've done that before with the American Legion. And the other thing is about the Trout Lodge. At our Legion, we set up was only a two-person committee to rent the hall, make the appointments, make the contracts, write a contract for it, and do it for something the board wouldn't have to do, but whether it's, we rent our hall for, ours is at 500 and 300 for members, but if they want to rent it by the hour, we just divide it out by the hours for charging for 2 hours use or something like that. So those are things that might be a committee to do that, to actually take over trying to get people to rent the hall and document the calendar for it where the board doesn't have to get involved in that. Because it's really the committee, it's really the ownership that's gonna benefit by it.
Yes.
Not so much the board. But you're doing a fantastic job and I appreciate every one of you.
yes.
And that's all I have to
Thank
say.
you.
Thank you,
We'll
Mark.
take that under consideration.
There was a scratched out one on here, maybe, or is that a signature? We good?
Well, one thing I would.
Was there anybody else that wanted to talk?
Claude, did you sign
One
that?
of the things that happen up here that I've noticed when these pipes start busting and stuff is a lot of these heavy trucks coming up here to build these houses.
Yeah.
So,
That's something we're looking into as far as the impact fees go.
Yes.
We're on the move on it. There's just, like I said, there's so many fish to fry. We're just trying to get them one at a time in the fryer. So, but that is something that is very big in our hearts, especially mine. They drive by my house.
Passed or something like that.
Excuse me, I'm sorry?
When a permit's passed or something like that to build a house, or it's approved to build a house in a certain area, maybe there should be like an upfront fee for, you know.
You are correct, but there is
offset
murky water we're dancing in right there for the moment until we get out of that murky water. And I mean that as far as our hands are tied on certain things until we get them untied. We're stuck. If that makes any sense.
Can you,
It makes sense. but
can
it's
you
just-
tell me your name?
William McConnell.
Sweet.
Why are we stuck, Billy? That's what I don't understand.
Impact fees are definitely on our radar.
Why are
There,
we stuck?
we have been told
We
that
need
we
to
cannot
write
charge
policy.
impact fees based on our covenants and restrictions, but we're talking to the attorneys about it now. There's always a fine line between what you can do and what you might be able to do. So we certainly realize we've got 24 projects going on in here right now, and I see the big trucks every day. So we've got to come to some kind of
Absolutely.
we've got to come to terms
By
with
your,
something.
Speed these roads up.
It's just,
It's
Wouldn't that just be a matter of writing
It's
policy?
something we all as a community notice. I mean, we all live here and it is noticeable. It's coming down all our roads. I mean,
Yes.
these trucks, and I'm at the gate, so I see it more than anybody. I hear all the loud ching ching, their trailers, every chain hitting, every dump truck with their doors open. It echoes down in my hole, so my hobbit life is being interrupted.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Beverly Siegel?
I'm trying to ask a question. Sarah, did you say you were not receiving a bill from the HOA? That's why you didn't pay it?
We did not, but
So how
we haven't
come
been
we
here
didn't
long enough to go
everybody's-
through many cycles.
It was when they first
We
got
missed
here,
one
yeah.
cycle.
Say again?
just a note that there is a process whereby after a person buys a piece of property, then they need to come into the office and register it and make sure all those things happen. We also were in the process of a major transition of financial systems right at the time we were billing. And I think the combination of those two things impacted our ability to get out invoices appropriately. We are fixing that for this year to the best of our ability, because we get a lot of return. Yeah.
Well, everybody knows we were going through some struggles then, so we're just trying to make the best of what we can now.
On your question, part of it also was because Tammy wasn't here.
Right,
That was when
she was
Tammy
fired.
wasn't here, and all the new people that came into the community.
Yep.
It wasn't in the system yet, it had to get caught up, so that's probably.
But that's what happens when you
Don't worry,
don't follow
that's
procedure.
it, you're right, yeah,
Some
everything
people-
was done manually in this one period from about December to, I think, when they froze.
Tim, you'd
building
like to
and
add
moved.
something?
Yeah. Go.
Just, I'm gonna put in a plug, Gary's said it, but each person can update their information on the website.
Yeah.
So log into the website. If you don't have a login, just contact the office and we'll get you set up.
Yeah.
But there's a way for you to keep your mailing address, your phone number, your email addresses, all that updated right there on the website.
Please, if you're not on there, please get on the website, and if you need help, all you gotta do is give us a call, any of us, or send an email to any of us on the board.
Email.
We'll help you get signed up, because we're not gonna use Facebook to pass information around anymore.
And if you don't know,
We're gonna
it's,
contact you directly by email or text if it's something important, otherwise we're not gonna bother you.
Let me
if
tell
you don't
you,
know, it's trcra.com.
and if you get a message saying this is not a secure site, it gives you an option to go to advanced, click on that. All it is having to do with the HTTP and the S. And so some of the pages, I think, have an S and some don't. So just say ignore and go to the site anyway.
Is Janice working on that?
I don't know.
We'll get it fixed.
Mine was pretty simple to walk through once I got past that point. I mean, I
Yeah.
went on in and logged in and everything was fine, so it was pretty simple, so. The $6.95 that we're going to, if you have a lot that doesn't have a house or anything on it, is it cheaper for that lot or all the lots the same
All the
price
lots
now?
are the same price.
Okay,
You look like something's eating you.
We are actually reviewing, so historically, there has been a split between certain properties that came in from the Talking Rock Creek. There's two names, so.
Recreational?
Go ahead, can you address that, so we
No,
call them
when-
land lots versus
Yeah,
regular?
when the developers were still in control of the place, they actually created two associations. One was called the Land POA, and what the intent of that was that those people who were never interested in being here, they were land speculators that were hoping, to invest in it and then sell it out, and in some cases buy large groups of lots. Some people bought 100 lots, or some entities did. To do that, they were never interested in coming here and swimming in a pool or even driving on the roads necessarily, other than to get a realtor in there to show the lots. But other than that, so the idea was they're not going to use any of the amenities, so they'll have a reduced fee for that land POA. So there's still about 150 of those lots. Because when the merger occurred back in 2009, that created what is now called Talking Rock Creek Resort Association, whereas previously it was the Recreation Association. But that document invited all those lots to join the Resort Association, and a lot of them did. So there are only still about 150 that technically have been treated with a reduction. But the reduction in the most recent years has only been, this past year, $30 difference.
right.
Okay,
I knew it was
so
only a little
620
bit, but I didn't know.
Yeah, so, but we're looking at some options even regarding that.
Yeah, we
So,
determined, I think, didn't we, that the board can go up?
Oh, yes, you can go up on those, they can be treated as
Treated
any
as
of
all
them
the
in
other
terms
lots,
of,
huh?
yeah.
To me, it just seems simpler, just across the board, everybody be the
Every,
same,
every,
so, but I
every
was
lot,
just
yeah.
trying to budget my personal money, how much I'm fixing to
Yeah.
have to go spend, so I was just curious, so.
So, yeah, but we're looking at the legal option that's there to possibly treat everything.
You can actually see the number of, if you look at the spreadsheet that's out on the website, there's a column, there's one page called assumptions, and that'll show you what we've calculated in as the land fee. So if you think that that's
Gotcha.
one of those land lots, you can see the number right there. I don't have it at the top of my head.
Well, I know in years past, our lot
Yeah.
on Strite has been a little bit cheaper. It's only
Okay.
been, $25-30 cheaper, but this past year when I paid, it was all the same. And I thought, oh, well, it's
That
not
was-
a big
yeah,
deal
that was-
to
yeah.
worry about, so.
Just give it to me.
To me, it just makes more sense for everything to be the same. It's easier to calculate. So I was just curious for my personal use of, like I
Got
say,
it.
how much money I'm fixing to have to spend.
Yeah.
Billy's gonna pay mine
Anybody
this
else?
year,
I was gonna
so.
say, what am I getting?
Billy's gonna pay mine this year, so y'all
Okay,
don't worry
well,
about
there
my
we go.
bills, so just take it to him.
It's my Christmas present.
Exactly.
Right, Billy,
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, look at all this money. My ring's plastic.
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you.
Got this out of a bubble gum machine, man.
I'm doing him. What y'all thinking?
I'm supposed to be, I had nothing to do with that.
Finish?
Him, what are you thinking?